let me just do a little little booktube talk check-in for myself um, on a couple of things. One is that while I was out, I was like, oh God, okay, I need to release the video, release the Kraken, the video where I'm talking about my mother, and then I talk about books. Yeah, but talking about my mother, and I did. I released that, and I've gotten 4 or 5 comments, and they have all been really supportive and really sweet and quite wonderful. With Jason, saying, hey, if you need to have a chat, just send me a Voxer message, which I really appreciate. I feel like at this point at least, I feel like I've said my piece, and um, we'll see what percolates. So I think I'm good. I'm good. And I did the thing like, okay, it's a 3-part process. There's the filming. Well, no, maybe 4-part. There was thinking about it. Then there was filming the video. Then there was editing and uploading the video. And now there's been just sort of answering comments I've gotten on the video, kind of feedback. Because it's like it was a public thing that I felt like I needed to do, just to talk it out and to be open about it. I needed to do that. So that's all really good. And I've done all that, which is really awesome. Uh, um, I'm going to wrap this into it. I last night, Kelly was doing kind of like, I watched her kind of the St. Patrick shout out tag, which is sort of like, hey, let's shout out smaller channels than you. Let's kind of promote and do stuff for people. And she put links in there, but the links were all links that only would work on a computer. And I kind of spazzed out, and I did a whole explainer thingy, probably very a dude explaining thing to a woman. I was trying to be helpful. I hopefully was not being a complete asshole. She thanked me for my enthusiasm, which I think is Kelly speak for that's her being very kind, and I kind of apologize for having a bit of a spaz out there about that. I did it, and I apologize for it, and maybe it'll be useful, but I think maybe there was a better way for me to do that. Yeah, so I did that, which I'm kind of embarrassed about. There's that. I didn't leave a comment on Jason. Well, really focused on this household in Wyoming. Did a kind of a video on the Seuss books being pulled by the Seuss estate, and him feeling like it was a slippery slope. And I have lots of thoughts on it. I wrote a whole bunch about it, but I didn't post the comment because I think other people had already said it better than I had. And I kind of already laid an egg already in that household, so I figured maybe I wouldn't do another one. Maybe I'm not in the best state for that. Yeah. And there's just my whole thing, my stuff of like, I deal with a lot of stuff that's one degree or another is older stuff that has outdated, outmoded, stereotypical racist attitudes in it. So I've got my own complicated thing with it, and I've got my own complicated past where, as a child, reading the books that my parents provided for me, which I have a feeling were like just old children's books of them, so stuff from the probably 30s or 40s. Some of it was like completely racist, which I absorbed without particularly a family, without having an adult kind of guide me through it and say, hey, this stuff is outmoded. It's just like I absorbed it all. And sometimes I wonder if that contributes to how I view stuff in literature. I mean, I always have the my the way I interact with stuff is definitely, I love having this channel. I love being able to talk and think about stuff and not necessarily try not to just unthinkingly accept stuff. Though the great thing about BookTube is you'll watch somebody else talk about something and then you'll go, oh, I completely like, stuff that's like, ableist, or, all my my white dude, cis dude privileges. um I won't notice stuff. I'll just accept it anyways. So it's always a continuing journey that way. You're hopefully continually learning. And that's one of the concerns about becoming an older white guy, is that you will turn into that guy who's just like, who will have who won't be questioning stuff anymore, who won't be thinking about, really, like, okay, yes, I've spent all my life with this kind of opinion about this, or just kind of accepting society's general opinion about this, but then society moves on. Will you be one of those guys, old guys, older people who just gets left behind, who's like the racist uncle, um, who maybe when they started off life, when they're in their 20s, that was very progressive, but slowly it's moved over and moved over and moved over, and quite rightly is now completely beyond the pale and completely unacceptable. Um, yeah. So it's a complicated thing, and might be more of a thing to just do as a video than just a comment section. Like, it's a better way to kind of respond to thoughts that Jason's had, and that Jason, Brian, and Steve, who actually surprised me because he did a bit of a roundup and he actually saw it as a positive thing, which is actually not where I would have expected Steve to come from, because Steve definitely has his opinions about stuff like cultural sensitivity readers, and things where activists come at publishers. He noted a thing where the Black American poet who read at the Biden administration thing, they got I think it's a Dutch publisher, got the book, and they selected a translator that was the poet's first choice, but that translator was white, and a woman who's I guess described as a journalist slash activist, kind of came at them with that, over that, saying that that was wrong, that was a racist thing to do, and they backed down, and they're going to no longer have that translator do the work. They're going to have somebody else, and it's like Steve found that, it's like the poet herself was the one who actually wanted that translator, and that whoever they now hire will know that the reason they got the job is because they were the right skin color as well as expertise, which is, that's kind of an interesting question about kind of present stuff of like how things will get changed. Like, we'll never get the particular work that maybe the poet actually wanted. I am getting this third hand or second hand now because I'm getting it through Steve, so I haven't actually investigated myself. That was interesting. So it's complicated as things are. The other thing, which I'll mention here because I'm not going to actually present this publicly, is that Steve, in his kind of roundup of shout outs, shouted out the channel that I called out a while ago, specifically the guy who was harassing women, coming on to women on BookTube, and he kind of shouted him out for a video he was doing, and that's kind of tough. I don't know if, I've basically kind of shut myself off from that particular guy. I don't know what he's been doing. I know that he did not talk about it at the time. He did not address the concerns. He did not apparently give particularly much restitution to the women he had made unwelcome advances to. Um, and so it's kind of interesting that Steve, someone who I really love his stuff, love his channel, um, is kind of this big presence, big kind of the Godfather, the Irish Godfather of BookTube is like, oh, you're kind of giving him a little bit of airtime there, and yeah, how do I feel about that? You know, has he had enough time out in the wilderness? I I mean, it's one of those things of like, has he changed his ways? Has he kind of stopped doing that? You know, if he stopped doing that, um, maybe, maybe he's talked to the people who are involved. Maybe they're okay with it. I'm out of that loop. Um, but it seems odd, interesting to hear his name come forward. And yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I'm not going to cancel Steve. I'm not going to stop watching his stuff because he dares to mention the name of this guy. I'm not interested in looking at his channel. Um, but I guess it'll be interesting to see, and I'm not going to like publicly start doing some kind of video calling him out. Blah, blah, blah. That's the reason why I'm just kind of talking about it here, is I'm just sort of thinking it out in my own head. Um, but yeah, 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 I feel uneasy about that, to say the least. And you know, you get someone like Steve shouting out your video, um, you're, to a certain degree, you're putting your stamp of approval on the guy. You're saying, hey, you should check out his video, maybe check out more of his videos, maybe get uh, involved with him. And um, I haven't heard anything about him particularly changing. Maybe he has. Maybe he's had lots of conversations with Steve and others in private. And I mean, maybe that's the place for something like that to happen. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's interesting. Um, yeah, it'd be interesting to see if that's something that kind of Brian mentions, or if that comes up with him. I um, when I made a video calling him out, I was a very small voice in that, and it got picked up and amplified by people who are much bigger than me. Um, and, informed a lot of people. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. So I feel responsible for some of that. And I feel like that was a good thing to do at the time. I don't know what my responsibility now is. And, if there's nothing openly happening and there's no reports of anything openly happening there, um, there may not be any need for me to stick my oar in. And I don't particularly want to stick my oar in if I don't have to. Um, whatever that would do anyways. Um, but yeah, it's disturbing to me. It's disturbing to me. But that's all it is. What all? That's where it is at the moment. So I will probably just keep my ears open. I will watch that video to see if there's comments on that video, because there are people who watch that video who will be quite aware of that name, of that channel, and what their reaction to it is. And some of those people actually have much more of a, they have, I don't have, I only have a viewership relationship with Steve, as much as, he's my booktube pal that I see every freaking day. I don't have that relationship with Steve. So, yeah, there are other people like Jason, like Brian at Bookish, who would be able to chat to him, who have a personal relationship with him, that would be the better ones, that would talk, and me have an idea what's going on there. Yeah, yeah. So, uh, yeah, not going to go to DEF CON anything. I have no interest in being the police of BookTube. None of us are. Um, none of us are. And I don't want to be part of a mob either. Because mobs can be really well intentioned as well as vicious, and they can have the same effect. And nobody's asking me. Nobody's asking me. But if someone did, um, if there were some other people who had concerns and they came to me, I'd be like, then it would be figuring things out. And yeah, what right do I have? I have rights to kind of point out stuff, which is what I did. And things went from there. All I did, I try and tell myself at night, late at night, is I pointed stuff out, and that was probably my best service. And I could leave it to others what they were going to do. And maybe that's the case with Steve. I pointed out to Steve what I had sussed out from my limited, internet skills of what I had sussed out about what had happened. And it's up to us individually to make a decision there. And I can't control or tell Steve what to do, and I don't think I would presume to, and I don't think Steve would particularly react well to me. I have no interest in policing anybody or in policing Steve. So I guess maybe it's being very immature to expect that everyone's going to want to do. Everyone's going to agree. We are adults afterwards. This is the good thing about this hunk of YouTube, is that we can actually be adults and we can disagree about stuff but still remain friends. And I can disagree with him shouting out Adrian, but that doesn't mean I need to be yeah. So I will leave it there. On that uneasy note. More videos later.